It was only 2 years ago that we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the gathering together of God's people into this place we call Abiding Christ Lutheran Church. Little did those founding members know just how, with the grace of a loving God, mission and ministry would flourish, both within the hallowed halls and sanctuary of this church, as well as into the communities that surround us. This year we will celebrate the 500th anniversary of the Reformation, a singular event in the history of the Christian Church. These two events are why we are here today. In a few weeks, we will come to the end of another fiscal year, where we have continued to support the many ministries of this church. This would not happen without the time, talents, and financial support that we receive from all of you. The themes for our 50th anniversary were God's work, our future, and abiding Christ for tomorrow. God's call to each of us is not just to continue what we have done in the past, but to always look forward to the needs of our church family and the needs of our neighborhoods and communities. What that means for us is that our future is now and our tomorrow is today.
These days, the ability to measure the value of something seems to be a priority in our work and personal lives. Well, I think that it can be difficult sometimes to measure the value of things. Take, for example, my membership and experience at Abiding Christ. There are so many invaluable benefits, like hearing a sermon that moves you to tears, or people knowing you and your family's names and giving you a big hug every time you walk in the door. Or it may be hearing the music and singing by such incredibly talented people that you are sure they should be on the top 100 list. Or maybe it's watching and participating in children growing and maturing into Christian men and women. But there are things here at Abiding Christ that you can put a dollar amount on, like coming to a movie and a dinner with your entire family for under $20, or seeing a musical directed and performed by our very own members and being served dinner, again for under $20. Or it could be that we have not one but two incredible pastors, or the use of a fellowship hall with a full kitchen for any event, whether it's church, family, or school. Or maybe it's seeing the carloads of Christmas family gifts donated by our congregation. Well, there is certainly no doubt in my mind about the value, whether you can measure it or not, of this church in my life or in the community.
There is no one here that has not been touched by the people and ministries of this church, and it all begins with our worship. Each week we're gathered together, served and enabled by greeters, ushers, audiovisual technicians, altar guild volunteers, and led by acolytes, lectors, assisting ministers, communion assistants, preacher, and presider. Our choir and instrumentalists enable us to raise voices in hymns and songs of praise. As we come together to hear the word and receive the sacrament, each of us is forgiven, comforted, and challenged, fed the bread of life, drink from the cup of salvation, and are then sent into this world transformed by the message of Christ and Him crucified.
In order to continue God's work in this community of faith, we need a significant increase in our giving for the upcoming year. We have looked at tightening our expenses, but that is not enough. We are asking that each of you consider a 10% increase in your giving for this next year. In Dr. Mark Allen Powell's book, Giving to God, he recounts Jesus' words in the Sermon on the Mount, "Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." He makes the point that the order of the words is important. It is not that your heart will determine the treasure you give, but rather your giving will move your heart. As we look to this next year and the future of Abiding Christ, where do you want your heart to be? Will your giving move your heart into a deeper gratitude and trust in the God who sacrificed all for you and for me?
Come set your rule and reign in our hearts again. Increase in us, we pray. Unveil why we're made. Come set our hearts ablaze with hope, like wildfire in our very souls. Holy Spirit, come, invade us now.